Mesdames, Messieurs,
Ladies and gentlemen,
Madame Teresa Ribera,
Teresa Ribera, first Vice Executive President of the European Commission, for a clean, just and competitive transition.
Good afternoon. It is a great honor for me to be here today. C'est un plaisir d'être avec vous.
It's a great pleasure to be with you today.
Beautiful city of Paris, with so many committed key players, so to ensure that we can build better cities, safer, healthier, greener, happy cities for the citizens. You have been working hard today, exchanging experiences, trying to identify the challenges ahead, trying to learn from each other on what it works, what it doesn't work, thinking and talking about proximities. Such a beautiful word, proximities. I would like to start by warmly thanking Mayor Anne Hidalgo for her dedication. It is impressive what Paris has achieved along the years of her mandate, how the urban transformation is experienced by the citizens of Paris and the visitors to Paris. So a big window to show that things can be done differently and that cities are great places to enjoy, and that citizens, neighbors, have the rights, the opportunity to enjoy the proximity. And I thank her for the organization of this conference, because it is important to speak and to learn, as I said, because we meet at a critical moment, nearly 10 years after the Paris Agreement, which set a global commitment to tackle climate change. Certainly, an element in the urban agenda too. How we can be resilient, how we can build prosperity, trying to be as efficient as possible when using resources to provide services to the citizens. At the very same time, we know that the urgency of fulfilling that promise has only deepened. We need to do much more. The unequal impacts of not tackling in a proper manner the climate challenge does exist. And we cannot forget about that. We are also speaking about rights, freedoms, inequality, fairness, justice, expectations in terms of the day-to-day life of the people. And the sense is that anyone considering these aspects, identifying problems in whatever city, in whatever urban settlement, might find that the neighbors knocking on the door of the mayor is very frequent. People see their mayors as the first institution, as the first responsible person that can provide support, help. And it may be that the mayor does not have the means or does not have the competence, but he or she is the person we identify as the first one that can help us. That is proximity too. That's the closest door to trust institutions. And this is a very important thing, because cities are the engines for many things: green transition, tackling social inequalities, laboratories of innovation, thinking on infrastructures, the front lines of social cohesion, the quality of life of the people. And proximities in cities provide the right opportunity to try, to succeed, to achieve this type of goals and to meet the expectations of the people. Now I come back a little bit to where I come from right now. I'm representing the European Commission. I'm working for the European Union. And I can say that we are firmly convinced on the importance to work alongside with cities and local authorities, supporting from this apparently high European dimension the projects, the programs to build resilience, to accelerate the transformations that we know we need to foster social inclusion, because the greener, the fairer, the more connected future that we seek will be lived first and foremost at the local level, in the rhythms of the daily life. It is the place where we can identify support to accelerate the transformation or skepticism if we do not experience the benefits. In fact, we know that cities are therefore central to our ambition for sustainability in Europe, since cities generate the bulk of our economy and are the hubs of creativity and innovation. I said this link between mayors and citizens is proximity, is institution proximity. It brings people closer to the services and opportunities that they need every day. It brings the opportunity to trust the institutions. But it is not only institutional proximity that we need. It is also physical proximity, inclusiveness of the different needs and response when thinking a city. Take the 15-minute city, and I know that my very good friend Carlos is not in the room because he has told me. 15-minute city. It's a concept that prioritizes proximity, sustainability, equity, but also inclusion, inclusiveness, social cohesion, capacity to recognize each other at a human scale. It is not just convenience. It is a very powerful tool for social inclusion, connecting people to jobs, services, everyday needs, education, health services, community life, cohesive neighborhoods. To make this approach as impactful as possible, deploying local infrastructure and services is critical, including mobility in our cities, cycling, walking, that must be safe, accessible, and convenient. Equity, accessibility is part of the concept of proximity. And when I list all these words and concepts, in fact, we realize that all of them are positive concepts, values, things that engage, that mobilize our soul, our energy to keep on doing, to keep on improving, things that allow us to build together a better future. I said we in the European Commission think that we want to be involved in this exercise, supporting cities in their efforts to respond to the demands of the citizens, supporting cities through different initiatives, including cohesion policies, identifying how the different funding opportunities in the European budget may come down to citizens, to cities. For instance, those funds that do try to address cohesion or development in our countries, those funds that try to cooperate with other countries elsewhere, building partnerships. Take, for instance, the amount of funding being dedicated for urban investments under the European Regional Development Fund. It represents around 12% of the total fund, 40 billion euros in the existing funding period. These are resources that help to generate public space, to adapt to climate change, to improve mobility, to protect cultural heritage, to enhance cultural and tourist service, to help into the greening of our cities. And I can tell you, The normal thing is that they are always over-demanded because cities, citizens, and mayors, local authorities, local governments do feel that this is a very interesting bet to take. We try to identify other European funding that could be available to support greening cities, covering decarbonization, energy transition, water resilience. Think about water, available fresh water in our houses, sewing, sanitation. So we thought that around the European Urban Initiative that directly supports cities of all sizes by building capacity, fostering knowledge exchange, promoting innovation and funding projects that develop scalable solutions to urban challenges, we may learn how to improve the urban policy at the European scale. Now, we work with the European Parliament and the Member States to identify how we can improve the urban agenda for the European Union, the European agenda for cities, to strengthen the urban dimension for European policies and to ensure city voices are heard at all levels. Our next priority is to think about compact cities, a model that complements proximity by promoting efficient use of land, reducing car dependency, embracing social cohesion, betting on more livable cities. A model that can help to balance environmental footprint reduction with cost-effective spatial planning and good quality of life for citizens. The city of Paris and Madame la Maire de Paris, together with mayors from many capitals and important European cities, Rome, Barcelona, Athens, Budapest, came to present to the European Commission the Mayors for Europe initiative. What they wanted to indicate, the mayors of the cities, is that they wanted to cooperate, to provide inputs, but also to be heard, to be empowered, and to be key players, to come up with initiatives that are fit for purpose when thinking how to address a huge challenge that is impacting the Europeans, and I am sure is impacting many citizens all over the world. Housing, availability and affordability of housing. When we read in the Eurobarometer that housing is the #1 concern for citizens in Europe, we know that there is something that we are not doing well, which means that there is a great room for improvement, that there is much to be done, that we need to join forces. This is not part of what we had identified traditionally as a kind of European policy. Normally it is the local level, the national level, who engage in housing policies. But we also know that the European project is something that needs to evolve, to think of how to respond to the challenges, the difficulties, the expectations of citizens, including this very first one, major concern. So what we are trying to do is actively listen and working on solutions to address this housing crisis. I'm sure that we cannot identify a single root cause. There may be many that explain what we are experiencing today: lack of offer, multiple expectations for the very same goods, depending on with whom we talk to, and an efficient use of existing housing stock, involvement and cohesion in the different layers of decision. National, regional, and local authorities ensure primary competence on housing matters, but we want to step in. We have a mandate to develop, together with Commissioner Jorgensen, And we are already working on eventual measures to facilitate affordable housing, thinking how we could ease the administrative procedures to facilitate new constructions, how we can do it in a way that it lasts in a sustainable manner, how we can ensure that there could be a renovation and repurposing of existing vacant buildings, so to provide housing solutions, how we can address the energy cost for the houses that do already exist, how we can design housing and cities, how we can think on how to avoid high prices, whether through regulation or financial support or combining both things, how we can establish not only a pan-European investment platform, but also platforms to learn of the experiences that have succeeded or the failures that show that there could be things that should have been designed in a different manner. How we can update the European approach to the use of subsidies, state aid rules to allow for national or regional support measures on affordable housing in a very speedy manner, or how to ensure an increase of available resources by reorienting some of the existing funds, by thinking on how we can partner with different private and public financial organizations. This year marks the 10th anniversary, as I said, of the Paris Agreement, but not only. It is also the 10th anniversary of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I remember well those days when I was working with UCLG on localizing the SDGs, how local authorities cooperating and working with regional, national, and supranational institutions may boost the success of the SDGs, allowing citizens to experience their benefits. We have done lots of progress, but we still need to do a lot. And at the heart of the partnerships that we need to build, the concept of proximity, bringing solutions closer to citizens, paying attention, creating more livable and inclusive cities is absolutely key. I'm encouraged by the fact that you all are still here after a very long journey today. I thank you, and I could make a plea. Please stand up for lively cities. Please, let's try to partner and to keep on working together. Thanks a lot.